welcome back to the Shakhtar to Glory challenge. There's a little slight difference change to how I left the last episode. We said we were going to try and concentrate on a few games, but what sort of clicked with me is that this season, this division starts a lot earlier than most of the rest of Europe, and actually has a bit of a funny end as well, which I'll go into on the schedule shortly, just to sort of show how this challenge has kind of evolved a little bit in my mind as well. So yeah, my aim was to come back possibly looking at the Champions League draw, because we were only still in July. That was still going through the qualification rounds, the third place playoffs, the playoffs rounds, that sort of thing. So we're actually at a point now where after this league game, I believe the draw takes place about a few days later, or about a week later. So I thought we'd come to this game, play this game, and then skip to the draw, see how we do with that, and then we can sort of progress and see how we go on from there. But let's have a quick look now and see how we've done up to this point. It's been quite a good start. So last time out we played Verez, beat them 4-0 away from home. Great opening to the season for us. We followed that up with a 4-2 win against Zoya at home. We went 1-0 down, and quite early on, I seem to recall, yeah, it was 9th minute, and that was actually a cross that seemed to turn into a shot and just caught my goalkeeper all sorts of unawares. And I was thinking, maybe this tactic isn't quite as good as it should be, and maybe going to a second even in this division will be too much, and I need to reel it in a little bit. But you know, I didn't need to worry too much. We got one back through Ferreira, and Tyson got one just before half time. Right before half time, they got a penalty to make it 2-2. In fact, no, we went 3-1 up just before half time. And then they equalised. There was 3 goals in about 3 minutes. 2 minutes. It was crazy. But then we in the second half we finished the game off. Romero getting his goal to make it 4-2, and yeah, a good win there. And I think Zoya are one of the better teams in the division. So I don't know too many of the teams outside sort of Kiev, Metalist, but I think they are one of the better ones. And maybe worth seeing how they finish in the season, where they're ranked in the season. But we then went to FC Alexandria. And again, another good win, 3-1 this time. Tyson is just taking this division by storm and playing out of position. He's playing as a striker. He's more of a attacking midfielder, kind of a winger, maybe inside forward, that sort of role. But he's adapted to being up front very well. Got a couple of goals in this game. They got a last minute consolation, also an own goal for them. What has been slightly worrying, which you'll see if you've seen some of the stats, which I might have to go back to the other game shortly to have a quick look, is the number of fouls that we're giving away. 25 in that game to 9, which is crazy. But a lot of good shots, a lot of shots on target. We're not getting players sent off. We're not really getting too many bookings either. So as long as that's not happening, maybe it's not too much of a big deal. But in Europe, maybe against some smarter opposition, we might see a few more cards, and it might cause a bit of problems. So I might have to look at that a little bit. We then had a home game against Chornomorets. Again, it's another team I recognise. I think Arsenal played them in the Champions League a couple of years ago, I seem to recall. And I didn't know they were from Ukraine. I didn't know too much about them really, but I have heard of the team. We just didn't really think about where they were from. But a nice 4-0 win here. Romero getting a hat-trick, and Audet's the big centre-back. I think it was from a corner. They did have a player sent off quite early on, so that was possibly kind of a bit of a explanation to that. We did also lose Ferreira to an injury. I don't think it was too bad. No, he's out for another sort of 2 weeks or so. So we have to get by without him for a little while. But to be honest, most of the goals have been coming from Tyson and Romero. And you know, I didn't realise he had Italian citizenship. I've just noticed that. I'm pretty sure he didn't to start with. I'm pretty sure he had Argentinian, but he seems to have chosen Italian now. So yeah, let's. What we'll do now. So where we now is we've got a home game against Stal, who I think are 3rd in the league. So we'll take a quick look at the division. So we are 2nd, but only because Dynamo Kiev have played their game already and obviously won that. There's a couple of teams unbeaten, one of which is Stal. So hopefully we can make that. In fact, there's 4 teams. 4th place also unbeaten. It's a bit of a crazy start to the division, so it's really tight. But a win here will see us with 5 out of 5 games and take us straight back to the top of the division. Straight back to the top of the league and back where we want to be. Just as we're going into the Champions League draw and the group stages, and you know, bit of confidence, learning the tactic. So here we are. This is the team we're going with today. Pretty much the same team we've had the last couple of games. It's been a pretty consistent lineup. The only change the obvious change in this game is Facundo Ferreira's come out and replaced with Ongenda. I think he has played a game. I think he's got a goal off the bench. So he's okay. No, he hasn't got a goal off the bench, but he's prime there, ready to get his chance and see what we can do. I don't think we've got too many foreign players out. No, we haven't. I must have a different player on the bench here as well. So, although I'll say that I think I've given Romero his number 2, maybe 3 games already. So it could be a little bit of a bug in the game, perhaps. But we'll go over passionate team talk. I don't think a comfortable win is what we should be saying, because they are third, they are unbeaten. So although we are better than them, inverted commas there, but we'll send the assistant there. Yeah, although we are better than them, they are in form like we are. So we need to give them a bit of respect and don't just assume we're going to go out and win the game. So 6 minutes in, we have the first highlight here. It looks like it's going to fall our way. Ongenda plays it out to Cerna. Quick spin across, and Romero. 6 minutes in, nearly 7 minutes into the game, and Romero is just taking this division by storm. It'd be interesting to see how he adapts to the Champions League. Obviously, he's only sort of 18, 19, I believe. He's banging them in this division. Obviously, it's nowhere near the same standard, but if we can get him doing that in the Champions League, we stand a good chance of at least maybe getting something out of the group, even if it's just the Europa League this season, and sort of look to grow him going forward. So we have another highlight here. Cerna with a free kick, and is that Tyson again? Tyson with a finish. These two are running this team, and I think Tyson's actually wanted. I think it's quite a few big clubs. I think Liverpool are looking to be the most in demand for him. So it would be a bit of a struggle to try and keep him, especially in this sort of form. So we reach half time, and it's 2-0. I'm quite happy with that. It's a team that's unbeaten. We're doing all we need to do, really. Still a little bit concerning that we've only had 2 shots on target. We have scored them both, so quite efficient, but not efficient in the actual number of shots we're getting and the conversion onto target we're getting for them. The fouls are creeping up a little bit. We are sort of dominating possession a little bit here as well, which is good to see. So we might have a little bit of a change up in the second half with our philosophy and just try and go on the counter a little bit more. Try and keep it a little bit tight, because like I say, this team isn't something to. They do pose a threat to us. So I think we might do that quite early on. If I can remember which one it was, that would be fantastic. It's this one, isn't it? So we'll switch to the counter. So 65 minutes, we get another highlight. It is our highlight, even on the counter. It still looks to be, ours for the taking. Cerna down the right hand side, whips in across straight to their goalkeeper. That will probably be the end of the highlight, unless we can win it back quite quickly. We don't. They're on the attack here, and that's a free kick, and it looks like we're going to go down to 10 men. The assistant is telling me we want to tell him to ease off tackles. Well, that's a bit late because it's already happened. So what can we do? We've got Ismaili on the bench. We'll just take off one of the strikers who's looking like this. We'll probably take Tyson off just because of that yellow card. We don't want to go down to 9 men here. We'll do that, and then we'll switch him into the middle. I think we might change both of these to advanced forwards. Yeah, I think we'll go with that. I may even drop another one back in a minute into midfield. So we're going to make some changes. Ismaili is injured already, which is a bit of a concern, but we're going to take off Cerna. He's a bit old now. He does tend to get a bit tired quite easily. Need to protect him a little bit. And Fred works really hard in that centre position as well. So we're just going to take him off for Kovalenko. I think he's a young player, Kovalenko, so we need to try and get him some game time. He does tend to come on most games. It tends to be the same 3 subs I make, just for fitness, really. We have a last minute highlight, free kick. I think that'll be the end of the game. Yes, it is. So, comfortable 2-0 win. We limited them to not many shots. We improved our shot conversion onto target. Again, the fouls was a bit worrying. I was speaking before the game about no red cards, not many yellow cards. We've had a player sent off for 2 yellow cards, and but they had more bookings, so it's not really a fair assessment to say, oh, we're a completely dirty team. Yes, there's a lot of fouls, but I think there are a lot of niggly little fouls. So we'll stick that there. So then let's see where we come back to. Yes, that puts us top of the table, 2 points clear, 1 goal difference ahead. This obviously you've seen me keep a clean sheet today. I think we kept a clean sheet in the first game. The ones in the middle, we were dropping a few goals. Okay, one of them was a 90th minute consolation, but there is a little bit of a look at needs to be there to try and tighten up at the back a little bit. We are very open, very attacking. The fullbacks like to bomb on. The two midfielders in front of them are quite not, well, they're not overly defensive, so it's literally the back three and the goalkeeper that is our defensive point. But in this division, I don't think it's too much of a problem. I'm comfortable we can outscore most teams. So what we'll do, we'll come back for the Champions League draw, which should be shortly. So here we are, Champions League group stage draw on the 24th of August. So we've already played a good sort of 3 or 4 games in the league before we get to this point. So we're ahead of most teams in Europe at this point. And like I did say at the start of the video, I wanted to point out about the schedule. So we've got this little sort of run, you know, pretty normal in September. October, it's a little bit more sporadic. Champions League and Cup games mostly. A couple of games towards the end of the month, all quite close together, packed in. Around the Champions League games as well, which is a bit concerning. They're not really helping us out in Europe. There's a lot of games, league games, tightly packed around it. But then you can see November, pretty similar, game at the start, and then it's Champions League. A couple of games again, packed again towards the end of the month. December follows a similar pattern, and then it's off till February. So it's 9th of December, and then we're off till the end of February before we play our next match. And then there's a gap towards March, and it's, you know, it's assuming, you know, the season's over by March with a lot of gaps in between. Fitness could be a problem, especially if we do get out of the Champions League group or into the Europa League. Not going to be playing many matches, so we may have to try and see if we can chuck a few tours in, chuck a few friendlies in, just to keep the sharpness up. But you know, we'll come to that further down the line as we get there, and we'll sort of draw the experiences as we do it, really. But let's jump into the group stage. We are in the first seeds, so that is very interesting. I did not expect that to be the case, so we'll just quickly whip through. So we're in pot B, so we're going to have quite a few to choose from. So you know, whereas if you get into the group G or H, you kind of know where it's going and who's gone already, whereas group B, it could literally be anyone out of this pot. So Barcelona in this pot, Paris Saint-Germain are in this pot, Atletico Madrid, Dortmund, City, United, some big teams. I'm not sure who would my preference be there. I'd say it'd probably be Porto or Seville. So let's see who we get. Barcelona are gone. We get Seville. What a touch that is. Still a tough game, don't get me wrong, but it could have been so much worse. In this group, again, some big old teams in there. Out of an interest, the ideal would be Basel or Anderlecht, I'd say. Olympiacos would be an interesting one. We get Basel. This is looking very, very nice when you consider Benfica, Barcelona, Liverpool in that first group. Juve, Man City in that group C. Group D is looking a tough one as well. Group E, Bayern and Man United. Real Madrid, Porto and Tottenham. Wow. Group G is not so bad. Group H is another toughie as well. Who would I like to get in this one? So this one, normally you get a few goodish teams in there, but most of them is kind of who sort of appeals to play for me, really. Celtic would be an interesting one. We get Red Bull Salzburg, so an interesting one. I got confused and I thought it was the Red Bull from Germany, but it's not. It's not Leipzig, is it? It's Salzburg. It's the Austrian version. Leipzig are actually in the same pot as well. They come out next. Let's see who else sort of completes that. Sporting Lisbon makes that a tough group. Hoffenheim makes that a fairly tough one. Feyenoord, and who did Chelsea get? Rosenborg. So yeah, let's have a quick look at the schedule. So here we are. There's the fixtures. We open up against Red Bull Salzburg at home, so a nice opportunity to get off some points on the board. We then go away to Seville, away to Basel, home to Basel, away to Red Bull, and then finish off with a home game against Sevilla. Nearly end of our season. Obviously, time-wise, not so much. There's still a few months of the season left, but like what, 5 games left? 6 games left? 5 games left of the season, which finishes with Dynamo Kiev. Interesting enough, big game to end the season on. So yeah, I think we'll probably have to come back for that Salzburg game to start with. Well, I'll play these 2 league games now, and then we'll jump back in for episode 4 for the Red Bull Salzburg game. So until then, I'll see you next time.